is the Business of Reselling podcast. I'm your host, Jessica Oman. Hey everyone, and welcome to episode 62 of the Business of Reselling podcast. Thank you for listening. Today, I thought I would spend a little time talking about eBay's new promoted listings policies. I haven't done too many episodes updating you on changes to eBay or Poshmark or other listing platform policies. There's lots of resellers that do that, but I kind of wanted to talk about this one because it involves marketing, and I just kind of want to talk about the policy, what I think about it, and what I'm doing differently, and how it might affect the overall marketing of our business. So I'm going to spend a little time on that. I guess I'm a bit behind. Most other reseller channels have already discussed this, but now the new policy has been in place for about 4 days. It's not long enough for us to gather any data on it, but I have been thinking about it a bit, so I thought I would do an episode about that. What's going on in the business? We have our first bid rush auction of 2026 going right now. It's at the time of recording this, it's got 8 days left. By the time this episode airs, it'll be just 5 days left. It's not going great. The trajectory of auctions is usually pretty similar. There's a big boost in the first few days of an auction, and then there's a long lull where I get frustrated and stressed because I don't feel like there's enough activity. And then things heat up in the last 24 hours, and I'm always happy at the end. Um, this one feels a little bit different, but it's also a different kind of auction. We've added a bunch of different kinds of items in there. We have more collectibles, more large items. We have like a big old antique fan. We have beer signage. We have Breweriana. We have some jewelry. It's a mishmash of all kinds of stuff and some physically larger items that we want to sell because we're trying to downsize our warehouse for a few different reasons. And so we thought we'd run some of these things through our auction. And so far, the pickup on those larger items hasn't been great, even though I think that they're pretty cool things. We're certainly not trying to auction off junk. So I guess it may have something to do with a couple things I'm thinking is like maybe the way I'm marketing the auction. I'm very used to marketing it as if it was just comic books and trading cards. And then we have like a different audience for these types of things. And so I haven't really thought specifically about how to reach those people outside of the ones who are already on my mailing list. So there's that. The other thing too is this auction is longer. I think the longest auction we've run was like 11 days. This one is 13 days. So it's pretty long. And with so many days to go, it's probable that a lot of people who will come around are just kind of waiting in the wings and doing other stuff and just sort of waiting till it gets closer to the end to suss it out. So I don't know, like it's interesting. We really need it to work. We want it to work with the larger items because we have so many more of them that we wish to sell. Yeah, I'm enjoying the challenge of trying to find that sort of different segment of buyers for this auction, and I hope that I can do it before the auction ends. So yeah, like I said, there are some really cool things in this auction. We still have comic books, we still have trading cards, Pokemon, sports cards, sterling silver, like some old collectibles. I keep coming back to this antique fan, but you guys, it is really cool and you should check it out. Signage, Pepsi and Coke signage. We have this gigantic Captain Morgan sign. We have a whole bunch of die-cast cars, tons, and I don't think any of them have been bid on yet. Hot Wheels, Matchbox, Johnny Lightning, and then we have some bigger die-casts that are some of them are quite old. We have like this big fire truck. It's super cool. It's an old Texaco fire truck. We have die-cast coin banks that are shaped like antique airplanes. Like there's a lot. It's a really cool auction. Of course, if you want to bid on it, you may find some deals. There are a lot as of this date of recording. I think there's some really great deals there. So of course the link to that is down in the show notes. And I also made a YouTube video talking about all the things in the auction. And that's also going to be linked in the show notes. So speaking of YouTube, as you know now, I'm trying actively to grow the YouTube channel. So I hope you'll get over to youtube.com/@StorageWarrior podcast and like and subscribe and watch some videos there. I'm actually happy that I'm on track to qualify for monetization by the end of the year, but I would love to get there sooner. So hopefully you'll watch some videos. And if you actually have tips on how I can get people to watch to the end of the video, that would be great. Because one thing I'm noticing in the analytics is that people are not getting that far into the videos before they're signing off. So I don't know, maybe I could do a giveaway at the end of a video, some sort of surprise added value at the end. I was thinking of doing like top 5 lists with like number 5 is the most shocking, like that kind of stuff at the end. Um, anyway, let me know if you have an idea on how I could get people to watch for longer. That would be cool. Anyway, moving on from BidRush and YouTube, let's talk about what I think of eBay's new promoted listings approach. So, like I said, I'm behind on this already, as a lot of YouTubers have already made videos on what they think of the new promoted listings program on eBay. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, let me just briefly describe the changes to their policy. And yes, it does apply to eBay Canada. So, if a buyer or if an eBay user clicks on your promoted listing and then your listing sells in the next 30 days, you will pay your ad fees, your set ad fee rate on that item, even if the person who buys it isn't the one who clicked the promoted listing. So it's called an any click attribution model. As soon as that promoted listing gets clicked, that's going to set that 30-day clock. And then if it sells in that amount of time, you'll have to pay the promoted listing fee, even if it didn't come directly from your ad. It seems kind of unfair, and I'll talk about that in a minute. But another part of it, and this is really important, if you use promoted listings, you probably know that there's something called priority campaigns and something called, I think it's general campaigns. And priority campaigns are those pay-per-click. So now only priority campaigns can get the top slot in search results. Now, for most one of a kind, vintage, like resellers like us that are selling things that not everybody has, priority campaigns don't make sense anyway. Because if we're doing it right, we should be selling things that don't have a lot of competition anyway, making the priority strategy redundant. But if you sell the same items that many other sellers do, so maybe you sell like remote controls or like electrical components or like, the kinds of things that you would have an inventory of that you would continually resupply, and that there may be lots of other sellers with the same items. If you are that kind of seller, you could be at a disadvantage if you don't use priority, because if you don't, you won't get that top search result. So that's going to be expensive whether you participate or not, because either you're going to pay the money to try and get the top search results slot, or you're not going to pay the money and you may not get the sales. So these changes are a little bit frustrating, and I think that some resellers will have to adjust the way they think about marketing and advertising their stores. So what do I think of it? I mean, it's another way to increase revenue without increasing sales. I think when eBay released their last quarterly results, that a lot of their revenue growth had just come from ad fees. And so they're like thinking, oh, okay, this works. We can increase revenue with ad fees. So how can we continue to do that? It's cheaper revenue growth for them to just simply change the policy and pass the costs on to sellers. And of course, that's why it's appealing to the company. For me, it's annoying that eBay doesn't put more effort into growing its pool of buyers, assisting sellers with specific promotions to help us sell through our items faster, or other things that make the eBay community stronger. But those activities are expensive. New customer acquisition is especially very expensive for basically any business in any industry. So this is essentially how they're getting us to pay for that customer acquisition, and to take a bigger share of that expense. So some people are quitting promoted listings altogether and going with the boycott method. Some people are going to continue to play the promoted listings game because they feel they have to, or they're still profitable despite that. And I think we would fall into that camp. So like, why not play? Um, but like both of these approaches are logical and rational. And I actually am not going to take one side or the other on this particular issue. What I really wish, though, is that eBay would return to a focus on community rather than mostly implementing strategies that please the shareholders and not the actual users of the platform. And I know I'm preaching to the choir here. It's unlikely that very many listeners would disagree with me on that. I mean, this is the reason that so many sellers have lost their love for eBay. And if you're curious about when I lost my love for eBay, it happened in the fall of 2024. And you can watch that and listen to that on the podcast. Um, where am I at? So they didn't have eBay open in person the year after COVID when they definitely could have. I think maybe even for 2 years after COVID. They finally brought it back last year. I didn't go, but they didn't have eBay open in person. They didn't have in-person meetups to connect with sellers. They don't do any meetups in Canada whatsoever. There's actually nothing. They don't reply to emails. I mean, if you've been enrolled in the eBay International Shipping Program, they've created an email address where you're supposed to send your questions and frustrations and all kinds of things. And I mean, getting a reply on that is like, I mean, who knows what percentage of emails they're actually responding to. It's not very many. So they don't engage with sellers. They don't do any of the things that would make sellers lean into the platform, even though those are the things that we ask for all the time. So I don't even know why eBay has their little feedback buttons and why they send surveys and why they do this at all, because they don't respond to any of it ever or implement the things that we want. They just take the information that we give them and I guess make a little report and congratulate themselves and that's it. I don't know. Uh, Nothing. I wish they would just take some of the revenue that they're earning from these new promoted listings policies and put it back into seller and buyer engagement, but I don't see it happening. If eBay was doing this kind of community activity alongside changing its ad strategy, I think we would all be a little warmer about the changes. So what am I doing? I'm doing basically nothing. So there's the climax. Not doing anything. Do nothing seems to be a common strategy for me. But there's a reason for this. I don't plan on taking any specific actions in my store under this new policy. And I had actually already made that choice before I watched a recent video by Justin Resells, which I've also linked down in the show notes, where he talked about what he plans to do, which is basically what I have already been doing. By the way, if you don't subscribe to Justin Resells, you definitely should. He is down in the US, but he's probably one of the most articulate and knowledgeable eBay YouTubers that I've ever seen. And his content is always worth watching. Super smart guy, really well done videos. So definitely go check out his channel. But what he plans to do is, and he's actually built a software that automates this, which is pretty cool. But what he's planning to do is when he does a new listing, he's not going to promote it at all for like, I think he said 30 days. And then at 30 days, he adds a promoted listing strategy. So this is nice because, theoretically, the eBay algorithm should prioritize new listing activity on the platform. So you should be getting that boost anyway. And if your item is good enough, if your ad is good enough, if it's a desirable enough listing, it should sell inside of 30 days. Like it really should. And then so he's doing that, and then he's adding the promoted listings onto it after a certain amount of time. And actually, that is the way that I have always done promoted listings, except for I don't have an automated tool for it. I just kind of do it when I'm like, oh, I haven't adjusted my campaigns in a while. Let me go and do it. But basically, I won't put anything on a promoted listing until it's been live for at least 30 days. And I try to remember once a month or once every 2 months to go through my listings and add promoted listings to any of those listings that are starting to get old that don't have promoted already on it. So that's basically what I already do. And so watching that video kind of felt like a confirmation of my existing strategy. Now, of course, on eBay Canada, I've only been promoting clothing and accessories and diecast cars since I switched most of my listings over from .com to .ca. Just a few days ago, I decided to expand this to most of my toy categories. That includes model kits, toy trains, any random toys and games, um, and similar categories. So that was only maybe 4 days ago that I did that, and so far it has resulted in 2 sales with just over $10 in ad fees and $210 in revenue. So whatever. I mean, that's fine, I guess. I'll take it. I'll leave that, but I'm still going to continue with the same strategy that I've always had of not adding promoted listings to my listings until at least 30 days and until the listing starts to get stale. So I'm curious, what do you think of eBay's new promoted listings policy? Hopefully you've heard of it before you listen to this episode. Either way, leave your opinion in the comments. I really would like to know how it is working for you and what you plan to do differently, if anything. Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast. If you prefer audio, it's businessofreselling.com. If you'd like to subscribe to the YouTube channel, it's youtube.com/@storagewarrior podcast. Don't forget about BidRush, link down in the comments. And we are, of course, always buying. Hook us up with a great pick in British Columbia and you will receive a gift. That's all for this week, folks. We'll talk to you soon.